today. Elkhart's a place that has lost jobs faster than anywhere else in America. In 1 year, the unemployment rate went from 4.7% to 15.3%. Companies that have sustained this community for years are shedding jobs at an alarming speed. And the people who've lost them have no idea what to do or who to turn to. They can't pay their bills, and they've stopped spending money. And because they've stopped spending money, more businesses have been forced to lay off more workers. In fact, local TV stations have started running public service announcements that tell people where to find food banks, even as the food banks don't have enough to meet the demand.
Indeed, America, guys. It's getting worse and worse and worse. I hate to be the doomsday drummer. I'll let this guy, the geezer, Mort Flexer.
Thank you, and good morning, Reed, and good morning, Dr. Spanos. Well, it really isn't a good morning. I don't know why I'm lying, but it's not a good morning unless you had a good night's sleep. And last night was one of my bi-monthly nights of rolling and tossing and getting up out of bed and walking around and scaring the heck out of the neighbors. That brings back a memory, actually. It's quite true. I remember when I lived up on Allen Road in Westfield. Fortunately, it was a rather secluded area, not too many houses. I woke up one morning, it was still dark out, but there I was, standing in the middle of Allen Road, stark naked. I don't wear pajamas, Marianne. But in those days, I didn't wear anything. Fortunately, no automobiles came by, and I was not embarrassed. But I was amazed at how the heck I could walk in my sleep across the gravel at the bottom of my driveway. Our house was way up on a hill, and it was about 120, 140 feet from the street. And just where the driveway meets the street, there's an area of gravel. Didn't wake me up. Not at all. But anyway, thank goodness that doesn't happen too often. So I don't warn my neighbors anymore, not to shoot at somebody they see walking through their backyard at 3 in the morning or something of the sort. Anyway, back to the life, and Dr. Spanos, thank you, Reed.
Okay, Mark, thank you. Sleepwalking is a sign of deep mental problems. My wife, sadly, who's a little vague, on our cruise last time we were out, 4 different times I found her out in the hallway, pounding on my door at 3 in the morning. The cabin is set up in such a way that the bathroom door is right next to the outer door. And she'd grab the wrong door, walk out and let it close, and then she realized, gee whiz, this doesn't look like the bathroom, but it's too late now. She's locked out there. Fortunately, she does wear pajamas. Barefoot, though. All right, enough of that. I wanted to say one quick note here. I want to say hello to Jack and Sue Raymond, who are a couple of farmers over in Fredonia, New York. They have a fruit stand, vegetable stand right out by the road there, which it has the best, freshest stuff because they grow it themselves. And at the end of the year, they have peppers left over and tomatoes left over. And they invite us, those people who want to glean. Remember, in the Bible, 6 places mentions gleaners, indicating that when the crop is done, the gleaners are entitled to what's left. So in other words, you could theoretically just walk in and say, are you finished picking? And they say, yes, you can pick yourself what's left over. And there's often a lot of stuff left over after the official picking ends. And so we got in there, and God bless Jack Raymond. He drove people down and to the patch, and he helped pick and everything. We wound up with 25 bushels of peppers that went to churches, needy folks, food pantries, the soup kitchens, and all over the county, northern county where we are. And I want to thank them, Jack and Sue Raymond, for their kindness and for their wonderful, wonderful gift to our community. Very few people would be that caring about the people that are in need. And we do have in Chautauqua County a number of people in need. We are just about the poorest county. in the whole state of New York. And now that we're going to have a 7% or so tax increase on the county level, they kept telling me, the paper said we're the highest taxed county in the nation. Well, people would argue that, some of the county legislators, well, if you figure, there are funny figures in there, so if it's not really the highest, well, now it's got to be the highest until the other ones start jacking theirs up. Taxes are going up, food prices are rising dramatically, and seniors, remember, your Congress has told you there is no inflation, so you don't need a cost of living adjustment to your only source of sustenance, Social Security, which you paid for all your life. This Congress should be not only fired, should be put in jail. We did get rid of a bunch of the congressmen that voted for this, but a lot more are still there, guys. Run them out. Run them all out. I think they're apparently at this point, they're not really caring about the poor, such as the seniors now, who are becoming poorer and poorer because of this inflation craziness and no increase in their Social Security. And again, their pensions go along with the phony federal figures. Like New York State pensions, they got the teachers got 1% this year. Holy mackerel, have you noticed what's going on? They're cheating you blind. They're not giving you a real COLA. Enough said. Now I'm going to have somebody nice on. You're all familiar with Marianne Spanos. For a number of years, she's been taking care of the Office for the Aging for the Chautauqua County, and she is doing a great job there. She is getting cut back on her funds right and left, and I've got to ask her about that. And then, Marianne, you can squeeze over now, because that way they can get us in a little closer. You know, no, come on, more. Come on, I'm not going to touch you.
You're not going to bite?
I'll keep my hands off you, even though they're under the table. You notice? Your husband's watching. I got to be careful. All right.
Actually, he's putting in windows this morning.
So at any rate, Marianne's doing the job over there, and with less and less funding. And it looks as though Greg is going to cut back. One of the things he said he would cut back on is the Office of Aging. It may disappear, but Greg's office has assured me that she will have at least a van down by the river or down by the water in the Mayville Park. So
I don't know that's exactly what he said. I think
I didn't say he said. I think one of the members of his staff said. I got to have him on one of these days and ask him what it's like to campaign for lieutenant governor.
Yeah, I'm sure he had a challenging time.
Well,
there.
especially since he wasn't elected to run with this guy. He was elected to run with another fellow.
Yeah, it's only in the state of New York can that
only in the state of New
happen.
York.
You can run with one candidate and end up for a primary and end up with a different candidate for the actual election.
Yeah, so. There it is. So, well, Rick is gone, and but he was here. But now that he's back in the county, I guess he'll start watching the shot. I notice he's going to, it looks like they're going to raise, I think it looks like a 7%, look like a 7 to 8% increase in our, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, remember, months ago, almost a year ago, I told you, I said, you'll hear it first from Senior Report, you'll have a massive county tax increase. It's happened this week. So tell them you knew about it a year ago because you watched Senior Report. And a 7% hike in an era when the Congress tells us there's no inflation at all is a something buster.
Well, I think the whole system, there's a problem. It's not just the county. I mean, we've had this economic problem that's been sweeping the country for several years, and we haven't had any tax increase in here. In fact, we've been cutting our taxes over the last few years. Unfortunately, with the crisis that New York State finds themselves in, they are pushing more and more onto the counties. The county is only 11% of our total taxes that we pay.
And you're quite right about the state.
We have a lot of layers of government too. We have to look at that. And I'm not saying the county is, there's a debate on whether we should have county government or town government or whatever, but, all these levels of government developed in the early part of this century. And I think we have to say to ourselves at this point in time, can we afford what are we getting from all these different levels of government, and do we need all these different levels of government? In many places out west, they have regional governments that span it's not a county by county thing, it's a region. I'm not saying that that's the best way for us to go,
I will say it is. We've got, remember, as you're pointing out, this system of government, which is costing us a bundle, was developed a century and a half ago, really.
exactly, in horse and buggy days,
Right, and
when
they
it took us, you know, a day to cross the county.
Right,
Now we
you
can cross
didn't-
the county in half an hour.
Well, you didn't have the cell phone either.
Right?
You pick up
And
where we are.
we didn't have computers,
computers.
and we didn't have all these things.
But we still have the same form of government, which is designed without these things, which
Exactly.
is craziness.
And you know, I also have to say, our school system, you know, we have to look at that, not the teachers. I think we need all of our teachers. But if we just look at buildings and the different districts, we built all of those in the 60s and the 70s. I'm the last of the baby boomer generation. I was in school in the 60s and 70s. All those schools were built for the number of kids that were in school at that time. Now we have about 8,000 kids. Did you know that? In 18 school districts for 8,000 kids in this county?
Which is absurd because we used to have a lot more. And
Right.
they
We
don't
must
cut
have
back.
had, I don't know what the number was, but double or triple that 30 years ago when the schools are built. So now we're still paying for the same number of buildings and the same number of administrative staff to run all those buildings. Do we really need that? So I think not only we have to look at county government and how we can do it better and wiser, but we need to look at everything that goes into our taxes. And that is, you know, the schools that we pay taxes for, the state, some of the taxes go to the towns. And so we need to say, you know, are we duplicating? Can we consolidate for more efficient government and better, you know, I think, you know, if the schools consolidated somewhat, the kids would actually have better opportunities in high school. My kids went to a very big school in Jamestown. You know, the school in Jamestown, there are more kids in that one school district than in all of the other school districts in Chautauqua County, if you exclude Dunkirk and Fredonia.
And that's an eye-opener.
And yeah, that is. And they had a lot of opportunities there. They had a lot of specialty classes that they could take, which sometimes you get to a smaller school and they only have the ability to do the essentials and not give the kids the opportunities to explore. Like my kids had a drafting course, they had multiple languages that they could explore in high school. So I think it's something to look at.
When did you graduate from high school?
1981.
Okay, now, back then, I'd been teaching for almost 20 years, and I was teaching kids your age. Yeah.
But how many kids were in my graduating class? I had 150, and there are a few graduating classes in Chautauqua County that even have 100 students.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
Many of them are 50 and 60, and these schools were built for,
million,
you know,
yeah.
a lot more.
Well, one
so.
teacher can actually, in theory, teach over 300 kids in a class with one aide.
Well, I don't.
But
you
now
know.
that you got them down to where they're teaching about 15.
Well, and I don't know that that's a bad thing, but I think that just supporting the building structures, think about that, all the things that go into maintaining a big building that was built for a lot more students.
Oil,
you know, the
oil.
heating, the maintenance, the electricity, all of those things are a big overhead cost that isn't mitigated when you have fewer students. You know?
Right, they can close down a lot of the buildings that they're keeping open. We know that.
So-
And they could also release about probably at least a third of the staffs that they have there. And as I said, as you mentioned, you're not picking on teachers, you're just picking on the whole staff. I mean, hell.
No, I'm not. I'm not picking on teachers,
No,
or
right.
you know. I just think that we have too many buildings, and we need to
And
think
I
about
think
that. But
you have
also, you know,
too many people.
That's not to say that county government can't do things better, and we should do things better. We should constantly be striving for more efficiency. The thing that frustrated me this year with the budget process is, of course, when you get into an economic crunch, people say, well, Office for the Aging is a non-mandated service, and so they equate non-mandated with not necessary. And that's not true at all.
Yeah,
we have an exploding population of seniors, and the Office for the Aging does not, we're not a social club for seniors. We leave that to the seniors to do themselves. What we do is try to keep we provide services for seniors that not only keep